Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dano, aka Daniela. Wanted to make this video a response to Chanel Adams. Um, she made a video titled "Rant About Race and Ethnicity." Sorry, that word always gets me for some reason. Bad American habits, self-love, negativity. Chanel Adams. Um, I wanted to make a video response because I can totally feel where she's coming from. And see, the difference between me and her, there's really no big difference. But the difference between me and her is that I actually have connections to Latin America. I think I know I mentioned this in many of my videos before, but um, my father was born in Colombia. I'm gonna give a little background on how this all came to be. So my dad's dad is American. My dad's mom is Colombiana. My dad's father was stationed in Panama back in back in the 60s. He was stationed in Panama. We were over there for a while. We even had military bases there in Panama. My grandfather, he used to travel around when he was in the military to other Latin American countries. He met my grandmother. They fell in love. They got married. They had a kid, which is my father. And they had other kids too, but that was much later. So after my father was born, my grandfather left the military like some years after my father was born. Him and my grandmother moved back to the United States. Um, my grandmother had got her citizenship, her United States citizenship, American citizenship. My father had dual citizenship. Not only is he American, but he's also Colombiano. Um, so my father was born here, raised here for a couple years. Then my father was raised here until he was like, I think like 7 or 8 or something like that. He was basically living with my father and my grandmother here, family here. My grandmother, she never really picked up English language. And after my grandfather died, her and my dad moved back to Colombia. And my dad lived in Colombia until like his early high school years, to where, my grandmother wanted better education for him. And of course, all that stuff that happened in the 80s, stuff like that, moved them up here. So it's a lot that happens. Sorry about that, everybody. I had to pause the video real quick because I heard a door in my house close. So, I had to go and check to see what it was. But it's the wind. It's very, very windy. So, anyways, sorry if there's a lot of noise because I had turned on the fan, after doing that. But anyways, yeah, what was I? What did I leave off on? So, anyways, yeah, my father was brought back to the U.S. For a better education, basically, and he grew up half of his life. Well, I don't even want to say half of his life, but most of his life in Colombia and some of his life here. But most of his adult life here, and my dad is like 50 something years old. So, anyways, yeah, I'm still thinking about that door closing and stuff. Um, so yeah, anyways, when we were young, my dad really didn't teach us Spanish or anything like that. He only spoke a little bit, and we picked up on some of it. We were never really strong at it, even though my dad is fluent in both. He can speak Spanish and English perfectly. But yeah, I totally understand what Chanel is talking about because, when you listen, when you speak Spanish, being black, African American, that's why I consider myself African American. When you speak Spanish, people do look at you crazy. They look at you different. You know what I'm saying? They look at you like, wow, what the hell is this guy? I'm 100% American. I don't care where my ancestry comes from. I was born here in the United States, so I'm American. And yeah, it's okay for black people Black Americans to speak other languages. I don't know why there's such taboo with it. Like it's weird because it's like whenever you do something that's outside of the norm for African Americans, it's always taboo, and it's so awkward. I mean, why is it so weird? Why is it so taboo for African Americans to speak more than one language? Why is it taboo for African Americans to want to speak more than one language? Why is it? You know, I just think it's so weird that we set those barriers up for us. And, also Americans just general, I think it's so weird how we find it odd for other Americans, especially Black Americans, to speak more than one language or want to speak more than one language, because my Spanish is not perfect. I can speak it, I can understand it, but I don't know every word, of course, because there's different words in different countries that don't exist in other countries, Spanish-speaking countries. And there's words that are the same. I mean, they have the same words in every country, but they mean something else in another country. So, I can speak it, but I don't understand everything. And of course, accents are different, when you go to different countries and stuff like that. But anyways, going back to what she was saying is that I can totally understand her pain. When I'm listening to Colombian music, música colombiana, when I'm listening to that, when I'm listening to like, bands from Colombia, people look at me weird. Not knowing that most of the bands that I do listen to, most of the Latin music that I do listen to, come from Colombia. And a lot of people don't understand that Colombia has a significant amount of Africans. I mean, people of, Black Colombians. People don't understand that there's a significant amount of Black Latinos, all around the Americas. When we think about the Americas, we only think about the United States. When we think about, the Black diaspora here in the Americas, we only think about the United States and maybe parts of the Caribbean, but we fail to realize that even in Latin America, there are still Black people. There's more Black people in Latin America than there is in the United States. So it's like, why can't we, even if we wanted to learn language, even if we have no ties to Latin America, why can't we speak a language that our brothers and sisters are speaking anyways? You know what I'm saying? Why do we gotta be looked at as, oh, he's learning Spanish or he wants to learn Spanish simply because he want to talk to the Latinas and all that stuff? Like, no, that's not even what it is. Some people learn it for business. Some people learn it for educational purpose. Some people learn it because of family. Some people learn it because of friends. Some people learn it simply for the sake of entertainment or for the sake of wanting to learn another language. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong. Some people learn it for travel. I'm using it for, travel, family, and a bunch of other things, simply because I want to learn a language. I'm not going to stop with Spanish. I want to learn Portuguese. I want to learn, so many other type of languages. I want to learn Hebrew. And not, modern Hebrew, but also ancient Hebrew. Because my Hebrew is very, very rusty. I tried to study Hebrew years ago and kind of dropped it a little bit. And there's just many other type of languages I want to learn. Languages from Northern Africa, Africa area, not, Arabic or anything like that, but the ancient languages that existed there way before the arrivals of the Ottoman Empire, which most of the people over there in North Africa descend from, especially the Northeast Africa area. A lot of them descend from the Ottoman Empire when they spread all over that area. Because I know through studying history that the people who originally inhabited that area were Black Africans. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. But yeah, I mean, I totally understand, how she feels. But the thing is that I'm glad to see that more black people are picking up on Spanish. I mean, when you look around YouTube, you can find a handful of black people who speak Spanish or who are trying to learn Spanish, and that is very encouraging. It really is. It's funny because earlier this year, I had went to an ear doctor because I had blew my eardrum, and I met this older gentleman. It was funny because when I went there, I heard Spanish being spoken. I'm like, wait, where is this coming from? Because the way I was sitting, I wasn't facing towards the people. So then I sat in some seats right across from me so I could see who the hell was speaking. And I couldn't see who was speaking because the other people, their backs were like turned to me. So then I saw this older gentleman, this old white gentleman, with his daughter speaking Spanish. I'm like, wow, that's very fascinating. And I wasn't being ignorant because I know that in Latin America and there are whites, there's blacks, there's Asians, there's Arabs. I mean, basically the whole entirety of the world is in Latin America. I mean, you can find everything over there. You can find all types of races over there in Latin America. So I wasn't ignorant to the fact that this could be a guy who descended directly from a Spaniard or from a Portuguese or from just some type of recent European settler. I wasn't ignorant to that because I know in Argentina there are many people who descend from Italian descent, who arrived there within like the past like 200 years. People of German descent, people who arrived there within the past 100 years. So I know that exists. I wasn't ignorant to that fact. But it was funny because when I was speaking to dude, to the other gentleman, I asked him in Spanish. I was like, I asked him, sorry, not hablas, but habla español usted, señor? And he said, sí lo hablo. And after that, our conversation like took off. He was very fascinated. He even told me, he was like, I'm very fascinated at the fact that someone like you, a black American, speaks Spanish. And I was like, yeah, I can understand because most people who look like me who are not from Latin America don't even attempt to try to learn another language. So I can understand his fascination. And it's sad moreover because us as America and also English speakers just in general, English speaking countries, most of us don't even know a second language. And that's sad because most people outside of English speaking countries speak multiple languages, not just 2 languages, but sometimes even 3. I have a very close friend, brother, who goes around and he's basically a missionary. And he goes around to different parts of Latin America. He's fluent in Spanish. He was born here in the United States. He has no ties to Latin America, but he travels around to places like Belize where they speak English and also Spanish too. And he goes to Mexico. He goes to different places in Central America and speaks Spanish very, very well. And he's well accepted, by the people when he goes there. So you could definitely do it. I kind of missed my point of what I was trying to say, but there are people out there who there are black people out there who do speak Spanish and who do it well, and people do look at you weird. That's basically the main point that I want to make in this video, is that people do look at you in some type of way as if, like she said, as if you are obsessed. Like people, I've heard people tell me before, oh, this guy wants to be Mexican, ha ha ha. Like, no, that's not even the point. That's not even the point. Just like this sister mentioned, I love who I am. I love who my people are. I love our history, our culture. Not everything about it, but everybody can say that about their own people, that there's things that they don't love about their people. But I love my people. I love who I am. I love my beautiful woman. I love this, this beautiful sister right here. I'm glad that she's out there doing her thing. She's traveling. She's seeing the world. She's learning different languages. And that's a beautiful thing. That is a very beautiful thing. And it needs to be more of us that does stuff like this, that learn multiple languages and doing our thing. You know what I'm saying? And just because we want to do things like this doesn't make us sellouts. It doesn't make us obsessed with another culture. I mean, because really, to learn another language, you have to be immersed. That's the thing. It's not like, oh my God, this guy is spending like a million hours watching videos in Spanish, or listening to music in Spanish, or reading books in Spanish, or learning books for Spanish and all this stuff because we're obsessed. No, it takes dedication. It takes time. It really takes repetitiveness, consistency, really, to learn a language. You have to really immerse yourself in the language. And that's studying, speaking with people and watching and listening to things in that language that you're trying to learn. Because if you don't do that, you will fail. You won't be as successful, or it will take a much longer time for you to learn the language. Because I noticed that, I have friends from Latin America growing up. I have friends from Puerto Rico. I have friends from Mexico. I have friends from Venezuela. I have friends from Dominican Republic. I have friends from El Salvador. I have friends from so many places, family friends from Colombia. Just so many different, people from Latin America. But I never had anybody to help me with Spanish at all. So what I had to do is step outside my box, step outside my comfort zone and talk to people. You can't really be afraid to talk to people, because especially if you're doing language exchanges, because that's a good place where you should go. If you're trying to learn a language, I would say at first, study your butt off. Study your butt off. Try to watch things, listen to things in Spanish, and then probably after a month or so in your language learning journey, then you should try to find a language exchange partner to where you can exchange languages. And don't be afraid to talk to people, because they're there to learn too, so you're going to help each other. And don't be afraid to use a translator, because if the translator is wrong, they'll correct you on it. Oh no, this is how it is, blah blah blah. But anyways, you really have to immerse yourself in the languages. That's all I'm really saying, is that it's not like people are obsessing over Spanish or Latin American culture and stuff like that. But you have to immerse yourself, and there's nothing wrong with liking salsa music or merengue or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's dances. Think about it like this: people come from Latin America to enjoy things that Americans have created and have. We don't see any problem with that, so why is it a problem for us to enjoy things that Latin America created, or China created, or Japan created? It's just so funny how we have no problem liking anime, but if we were to have a strong love for Latino music, or anything from Latin America, we're looked at as being weird. We're looked at as being different or something like that. It's just so weird. But it does exist, Like I said, I drive down the street sometimes listening to music from Latin America, and people, they stop and look like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? So I can understand this sister, where she's coming from, and it's kind of sad that society is like that, but it is what it is. And if you're trying to learn another language, don't let something so trivial deter you from achieving your goal and learning that language. And I'm glad that this sister's out here doing her thing. I support her videos. As you can see, I'm subscribed to her and stuff like that, and I comment. But I was trying to leave a comment. The reason why I made this video is because I couldn't comment to what I wanted to say to her. I wanted to give her my experience and where I'm coming from, and that I totally feel her. And that she's not the only one, and that she should keep doing what she's doing. She's a young, beautiful black woman who's out there seeing the world, and who is learning at the same time, growing. And that's exactly what we need as a black community, because just the other day, just last night, I made a video talking about, a young black girl, just like this woman right here, but a young 15-year-old black girl with her future ahead of her, wanting to be just like her father, you know, a Olympian. Her life was cut short because of some nonsense. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm glad when I see sisters and brothers out here doing what this woman is doing. You know, they're out here living. Because there's a lot of us who aren't living. There's a lot of us who are breathing, but we aren't living. You know what I'm saying? So my message to you, Chanel, keep doing what you're doing. You have people here who do support you. I'm sure you see that in your comment section and everything. There's people who do care. And I noticed that most of the people who are commenting in your videos anyways are black people who I'm sure are trying to learn Spanish and stuff like that. So keep doing your thing. I like it. Peace out.